Hi, everybody. I'm here to share a reading for whenever this finds you, where I am. It is currently the 4th of March, the day after the lunar eclipse, which was last night. And I wanted to share some intuitive insights as to what I'm tracking and what I'm noticing around me, and maybe it might align with you as well. What I'm feeling around this time is noticing where in our life we're being invited to orient towards that which feels coherent. And so there might feel like this nudge to go inward in a time where spring's upon us. We spring forward in the Pacific Northwest. Our time zone springs forward this Sunday in March by an hour. And things are starting to bloom, and perhaps people are starting to feel like they kind of want to come out of their the womb of winter. And yet I still feel like there's this resonant energy that is quiet and subtle, yet deeply visceral in the nervous system. Deep felt sense of patterns that still refuse to be ignored, and perhaps structures in our life through which the alignment is no longer there. And this isn't necessarily good or bad or right or wrong, but it's this invitation to notice where we participate in any branch of our life in which perhaps our engagement with that way of being no longer fits. And so there's this quote that I read recently by Cory Muscara, and it goes, "Stillness does not create noise, but rather it reveals it." And so even though we're in March and we might be feeling this energy of like the fire horse and wanting, things are moving fast, and we want to have like a pep in our step, and we feel like we want to face the world externally instead of being more inward. I still feel like there is this invitation to slowly orient to what is happening on the inside, always. But still, right now, as we are in this threshold and precipice in which we're going to go through a change of seasons, and also astrologically, there's so much happening, but just noticing how that feels within our bodies. And further noticing that if anything that we're participating in is bringing our whole self into that engagement, or if we're still feeding into a pattern that suggests we must leave a part of us behind in order to belong to a moment or to a group of people or to an opportunity that might look real nice on the outside, but deep down there's still something that doesn't fully land on the inside. And so these are tiny but mighty cues that allow us to connect the dots through which our life is taking shape. And even though some of them might seem minor or easy to ignore, it is the things through which we ignore quickly that perhaps invite us to slow down more so that we can presence ourselves to what wisdom is available in that moment. There's another thing I read the other day about how the no pathway has so much to teach us about the flow of the path that feels like the way. And I love this notion because it suggests to me that in our whole lifetime, everything is lending to the evolution of our whole self. But our awareness of that which we are moving through is the filter through which we can become available to what life is showing us and flowing through us at all times. It makes me think of the song when we were younger, when you learn as kids, row, row, row your boat gently down a stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Or is it but a stream? But a dream. And to me, it just makes me think of like life is a flow. There's always a current through which life is coursing and moving through us. But the more we get into the resistance or turn away from that which feels too tender to hold or too activated to meet, it's not wrong to turn away from it. However, it's like we perhaps miss an opportunity to understand more deeply about ourselves and why we resist something in the first place. And so this week, I just invite you to slow down and notice what you're witnessing without needing to change or fix or rush to some outcome, but perhaps feel yourself through any moment, especially the uncomfortable ones. And instead of thinking, how can I get rid of this? Perhaps the inquiry could be, what does this moment want to teach me? In one sense, we're closing the door to the flow of life, and in the other, we're keeping our heart open in a moment when perhaps it wants to be closed. And I'm not suggesting to keep it open when your whole body is telling you that, hey, I want to shut this down. Not saying that at all. On a deeper level, all I'm suggesting is to simply notice what you feel. What is the automatic tendency or the adaptation through which your body is asking of you in that moment? Whatever comes up is applicable, and whatever comes up is going to lend to helping you understand yourself more clearly. And it takes a lot of courage to step into the arena of your own story, because what tends to happen is, instead of discovering more of something that we think we need, we tend to unravel and unlearn and meet more of who we truly are beneath the noise. Sort of like that quote, stillness does not create the noise, but rather reveals it. And noise is filler. Noise can be distraction. And so where in your life is there noise? Where in your life do you fill the empty space? Where in your life do you use filler in food, in your face, in empty moments and conversations when you feel like it's too awkward and so you speak incessantly, which is something I've done before and sometimes still do when I'm nervous. And so I hope this helps somebody to orient to the energy of what I'm noticing this week. And obviously it doesn't apply to everyone, but yeah, hopefully it helps somebody. And I'm just going to draw a card just to reflect how this might tie into what I'm sensing. And the card that flew out is release old patterns. Something that I've noticed about releasing old patterns, or the word release, it's like we release so that we can release with life. And so letting go isn't something you do, it's something you stop doing, which can be a funny juxtaposition of words when you think about it. But when you really break things down, there's so much code and wisdom moment to moment, even in the words in plain sight, about what it can offer us. And what I said at the beginning of this reading was this sense of patterns that refuse to be ignored. So if it's true for you and you're noticing those patterns come up even more, think of it as a gift in which perhaps there is more spaciousness in your body and nervous system, that those patterns are surfacing now because you are having the awareness to notice them. And hopefully from that place, you can give it the attention it needs or is asking of you, so that you can either free them and or understand yourself on a deeper level. And when we offer ourselves this gift of understanding and slowing down, then that which triggers us from a pattern or the cycles in which we are trying to break the loop of, they begin to have less of a hold on us. We no longer become so hijacked from the present moment and pulled into the past when that pattern occurred in the first place. Because our patterns are adaptive mechanisms in which they are just trying to protect us from a wound or something that we haven't fully processed yet. And so that is the invitation. And I really hope that no matter where this finds you, that you are able to create the space to meet more of yourself and to slow down and notice the magic and wisdom that is inherently living inside you in this moment. Thank you so much for being here, and I really hope you have a beautiful day.